Game 1 of the playoffs, the Fever had nearly 2 million viewers tuning in, while all the other games had around 400,000. Even the WNBA Countdown, which was aired before the Indiana Fever game, had more viewers than 2 of the series.
The league versus Caitlin Clark, and that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level.
Caitlin Clark will not play league basketball for a staggering 213 days, whilst viewership is already taking a hit after Caitlin lost in the playoffs.
And it looks like we're not going to be seeing Caitlin Clark play basketball again for another 200 days. An ESPN reporter said at the end of the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun Game 2 that Caitlin Clark almost definitely will not be playing basketball this offseason. So no overseas and no 3-on-3 unrivaled.
Just 23 days after the playoffs ended, the conversation around women's basketball has already started to shift, and not in the way many expected. Viewership is taking a noticeable hit, the buzz feels quieter, and a big reason for that is simple. Caitlin Clark is no longer on the court. With her rookie season officially over and no plans to play during the offseason, it looks like fans might not see her compete again for nearly 200 days. That's a long time for a player who, in just a single season, managed to reshape the entire landscape of the WNBA. Reports from ESPN suggest that Clark will be taking a full break. No overseas league, no off-season tournaments, and no participation in emerging formats like 3-on-3 competitions. For many players, the off-season is an opportunity to stay active, earn additional income, and continue developing their game. But Clark is choosing a different route. After one of the most demanding basketball schedules imaginable, her decision to step away and recover both physically and mentally feels not only reasonable, but necessary. Still, her absence is already being felt in ways that go far beyond just one player missing from the lineup. To understand why, you have to look at the numbers. Before Clark entered the league, the WNBA was already growing steadily, with viewership increasing by around 40% between 2022 and 2023. That kind of growth is impressive for any professional league. But then Clark arrived and everything changed. Viewership didn't just increase. It exploded, jumping by an estimated 400%. That's not a small bump or a temporary spike. That's a seismic shift. It's the kind of growth that leagues spend decades trying to achieve. And somehow, Clark helped accelerate that timeline into a single season. If the WNBA had continued growing at its previous rate, it might have taken until 2028 to reach the level of attention it experienced this year. Instead, it happened almost overnight. Her impact wasn't limited to television numbers either. Attendance surged across the board, especially for games involving the Indiana Fever. Whether they were playing at home or on the road, arenas were packed with fans eager to witness Clark in person. In many cases, opposing arenas felt like neutral sites or even home games for her, with crowds filled with people wearing her jersey and cheering for her highlights. It became clear very quickly that fans weren't just showing up to support a team. They were showing up to watch a phenomenon. Clark's style of play played a huge role in this. Her ability to shoot from deep range, often from distances that stretch well beyond the traditional three-point line, made every possession exciting. On top of that, her vision and passing turned routine plays into highlight moments. She didn't just score. She created opportunities, controlled the tempo, and elevated the energy of every game she played. It's rare for a rookie to command that kind of attention, but Clark didn't just meet expectations. She completely redefined them. Of course, her journey wasn't without challenges. As a rookie, she faced intense physical play, constant defensive pressure, and the expectations that come with being the most talked-about player in the league. Every game was a test, not just of her skill, but of her resilience. There were moments when she was targeted on the court, moments when the spotlight brought criticism and negativity, and moments when the pressure seemed overwhelming. Yet through all of it, she continued to perform at an elite level, showing composure and determination that went beyond her years. Her season ultimately came to an end after a tough playoff loss to the Connecticut Sun. It wasn't the deep postseason run that many fans had hoped for, but even in defeat, Clark delivered a performance that reflected her impact. She scored, facilitated, and fought until the final whistle, doing everything she could to keep her team in the game. But basketball is a team sport, and despite her efforts, the Fever couldn't overcome the challenge. Still, the end of her season didn't diminish what she had already accomplished. It simply marked the beginning of a new conversation about her influence on the league. Now, with Clark no longer playing, the WNBA is facing a reality that's hard to ignore. Viewership numbers are dipping, especially for games that would have otherwise featured her. Weekend matchups, which traditionally draw strong audiences, are seeing a decline. The difference in numbers is significant enough to raise questions about how much of the league's recent growth was directly tied to Clark's presence. While the WNBA still has a roster full of talented players and competitive teams, the absence of its biggest star has created a noticeable gap in attention and engagement. Ticket sales tell a similar story. From 2022 to 2023, ticket sales increased by around 16%, reflecting steady growth and rising interest. But in 2024, that number jumped dramatically, with sales increasing by approximately 93%. That kind of surge doesn't happen by coincidence. It reflects a shift in demand, driven largely by one player who captured the imagination of fans across the country. Without Clark, the league now faces the challenge of maintaining that momentum and keeping those new fans engaged. Another factor to consider is the sheer workload Clark carried throughout the year. Before even entering the WNBA, she had already completed a demanding college season with the Iowa Hawkeyes, leading them deep into the NCAA tournament. From there, she transitioned into the professional season, with little time to rest or recover. The schedule was intense, with games coming quickly and the physical demands increasing at every level. By the time the playoffs arrived, it was clear that fatigue could play a role, not just for Clark, but for any player in a similar situation. Despite that, she continued to perform at a high level. Even in the final stages of the season, she showed flashes of brilliance, delivering scoring runs, creating plays, and keeping her team competitive. Her endurance, combined with her skill set, made her one of the most compelling players to watch. It's one thing to be talented. It's another to sustain that level of performance under constant pressure and fatigue. Clark managed to do both, which is part of what made her rookie season so remarkable. Off the court, her influence was just as significant. She became a central figure in sports conversations, drawing attention not only from basketball fans, but from a broader audience that might not have previously followed the WNBA. Her games became events, her highlights went viral, and her presence brought a level of visibility that elevated the league as a whole. She wasn't just representing her team, she was representing a shift in how women's basketball is perceived and consumed. At the same time, increased visibility also brought increased scrutiny. With millions of new eyes on the league, every play, every call, and every moment was analyzed and debated. There were discussions about officiating, physicality, and the way Clark was defended. Some believed she was being treated differently because of her rising status, while others argued that she was simply experiencing the realities of professional basketball. Regardless of where people stood, one thing was clear: Clark had become the focal point of the conversation. Now, as she steps away to rest, the league finds itself at a crossroads. The excitement she generated hasn't disappeared, but it has slowed. The question is whether the WNBA can build on the foundation she helped create, or whether it will struggle to maintain the same level of attention without her on the court. This isn't just about one player. It's about the sustainability of growth and the ability to turn short-term interest into long-term support. Looking ahead, there's no doubt that Clark's return will be one of the most anticipated moments in recent sports history. Fans are already counting down the days, eager to see her back in action. Her comeback won't just be about individual performance. It will be about the continuation of a movement that has brought new energy to the game. When she steps back onto the court, the spotlight will return with her, and the league will once again feel the full impact of her presence. Until then, the WNBA will have to navigate a quieter period, relying on its depth of talent and competitive matchups to keep fans engaged. There are still great players, great teams, and great stories to follow, but the absence of a player like Caitlin Clark highlights just how powerful a single star can be. She didn't just play the game. She changed it, accelerated its growth, and brought it into a new era of visibility and excitement. In the end, her rookie season may have lasted only a few months, but its impact will be felt for years to come. She proved that women's basketball can capture massive audiences, drive record-breaking numbers, and create moments that resonate far beyond the court. And while she may be taking a break right now, one thing is certain. When she returns, the game will be ready, the fans will be waiting, and the spotlight will be brighter than ever. Just a few weeks after the playoffs ended, the energy around women's basketball has already started to slow down, and a big reason for that is the absence of Caitlin Clark. After one of the most talked about rookie seasons in recent memory, Clark is now stepping away from the game for a while, and it looks like fans won't see her back on the court for nearly 200 days. According to reports from ESPN, she's not planning to play overseas or participate in any off-season leagues. Instead, she's choosing to rest, recover, and reset after an incredibly demanding year. At first, that might not seem like a huge deal. Players take breaks all the time. But this situation feels different, because Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. In just one season, she completely changed the level of attention the WNBA was getting. Before she entered the league, the WNBA was already growing steadily, with viewership increasing by about 40% from 2022 to 2023. That's solid growth by any standard. But when Clark arrived, things exploded. Viewership didn't just rise. It jumped by around 400%, a number that's almost unheard of in professional sports. To really understand how big that is, think about this. At the previous growth rate, it would have taken years, possibly until 2028, for the league to reach the same level of attention it got this season. Clark didn't just speed things up, she fast-forwarded the entire timeline. And it wasn't just about people watching games on TV. Attendance numbers also skyrocketed. Every arena the Indiana Fever played in felt packed, whether it was a home game or an away game. Fans showed up in huge numbers, many of them wearing her jersey, just to see her play in person. Her playing style is a big part of why she became such a phenomenon. Clark has this ability to shoot from extremely deep range, hitting shots that most players wouldn't even attempt. On top of that, her passing and court vision make her one of the most exciting playmakers in the game. Every time she touches the ball, something interesting can happen. That unpredictability turned her into must-watch entertainment. People weren't just tuning in to support a team, they were tuning in specifically to watch her.